Jim, really quickly, on the president's video from yesterday evening, are we done with election risk at this point? Can we start talking about what comes next?
Yes, I think we can. I do think it was a moment of truth from the president. It's quizzical. I do think that we can move on. I think that what we have to move on to, though, is COVID. I mean, I think that we... not that I want to minimize what happened in the steps of the Capitol. That was a travesty. But I do think that the COVID numbers are horrendous, and we tend to ignore them because of the farce that's going on in Washington. But, David, can we really ignore something that's killing so many people every day?
No, I certainly don't think so. 4,100 people yesterday, Jim. 3,700 or so the day prior to that. We're at the highest death toll that we've seen. I think we're also at the highest single day, right? What was it, 272,000? It's out of control. You heard Scott Gottlieb, as he comes on frequently on Squawk Box, talking about where we stand right now. There's a lot of concern about that strain again, the UK strain or the South African strain, where it is, how quickly it's spreading, because, of course, it is more transmissible. Thankfully, not more virulent.
Right.
But we got to be concerned. As the vaccine rollout, it was interesting also listening to Dick Parsons, a New Yorker who went down to Florida where he's going to get the vaccine, but New York somehow doesn't seem capable of figuring out a way to get the vaccine out.
No, I mean, Carl, one of the things that is, I think, devastating is the truth about what happened here, which is that the president had no clue. And the decision to not have a federal move, but to have it state by state. When you think that we had 6 million people vaccinated against smallpox over 3 weeks in New York City, a very small incident, you can see just how ludicrous and stupid everything's being done. Now everybody's starting to tell the truth. Maybe we don't fear the president on Twitter. I don't know. But I do think, Carl, that when this first broke and I came home from the Super Bowl without watching the game, I was reading Harvard School of Public School of Public Health at Harvard, talking about that 60% of Americans will get this before it finishes. And I think that when Dr. Gottlieb talks about a foot race, all along, I mean, I cannot believe how prescient the publications were, that 60% are going to get it. And I think that it's become just a matter of time, unless we get some new president comes in and says, listen, this is all I'm going to do is vaccinate people. Everyone's going to. I think it's possible that everybody gets it. I mean, is it a Stan-like situation? Is it a Stephen King-like situation? Yes. Yes, because we're doing this all wrong.
Yeah. Look at some of the comments this morning, Jim, from, say, the mayor of London, who says the city's in crisis mode. 1 in every 30 Londoners is infected. Maybe the silver lining here this morning, David, is the bit from Pfizer that says their vaccine does appear to work on the UK strain, the variant, and the South African strain, although we're waiting for peer review.
Yeah, and you heard, again, I listen to Scott Gottlieb, as I know we all do closely, in terms of talking a bit about the science of it and the spike protein and things of that nature. So that's good. It still works on it. The question, of course, continues to be, when is the vaccine going to be more broadly available to people who are still in high-risk groups, starting with just elderly? And, Jim, I certainly hope you're wrong on that prediction. Even 60% seems a number hard to imagine. You're talking what? I mean, we got 320 million people in the country, so that's an enormous number. Now, that said, there are plenty who may have had it who still never were tested and don't know they had it. And, of course, that's the insidious part of this virus, the fact that it spreads so easily from people who are asymptomatic, which is why we still have to tell people, wear a mask. And, of course, it doesn't go unnoted that so many of the people who stormed the Capitol the other day were not wearing masks. Right. And apparently some of the legislators themselves who were moved to secure locations refused to put on masks, which is just hard to imagine.
Well, I would call them idiots if it weren't for the fact I'm Jimmy Chill. No joke about this. Let's understand. I'm going to begin to take an at-home test on air next week. It's available. The public health system in this country is ready to help. The medical system's not. The FDA approved this, what I'm going to be taking. I got a box of 20 of them. It's not readily available. Why? Because we have a system in this country that's completely dysfunctional. It should be available to everybody, and that'll keep you home during those days between when you've caught it and are asymptomatic, and then when it's obvious that you have it, which is really at the crux. We have all sorts of systems to be able to see that it's aerosol. And we know that even how to stop aerosol. We have a system where we have a Regeneron pill, Regeneron drip that works that we don't support because the NIH doesn't support it. We have, as dysfunctional as the government has been on so many other issues, we have been just a travesty in this country. And are we all going to get sick because we're a travesty? How can you vaccinate 6 million people in 6 weeks? Actually, most of them are vaccinated in 3 weeks for a smallpox epidemic in this country, in New York City, and now we can't even do this. Carl, I don't want it. I'm going to go to Florida. I'm lucky. I have enough money to go to Florida.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.